Hello, I'm Grimm. Welcome to my first ever Grimm Talk, where I plan to talk about cool things I like. And today I want to talk about the Bradford Guardian3. So the first thing I'll say is that I was given this knife by Aaron at TSA Knives. You can check them out at tsa-knives.com. So keep in mind, I did not pay the $180 or whatever it is for this particular knife in this finish with the grip combo, which are customizable with Bradford knives. And to that, I think this is the natural handle, and this is the Nimbus finish on the blade, which is sort of a dark tumbled. I really like that. The second thing is that Aaron is really pretty lucky by sending this particular knife, because this is just great to me. And the bottom line up front is that I like this knife a lot. It appeals to a sort of soft spot I have for a certain type of knife, especially fixed blades. I really like it, and it fits my needs really well. I do want to say I'm not necessarily a knife guy. I own a few. Some of them break, some of them sit around the house in various boxes, pretty much forgotten. Most of them I don't carry, and certainly don't carry every day. I have a little Dijo sitting out here on my desk, just sort of waiting to cut open letters or a box or whatever it is I get from Amazon. The point is, I'm not super deep into the culture, so please forgive me if I call something on the knife the wrong thing. I'm just a regular dude talking about something I think is both handy and cool. And I also realized that I'm really late to the party about talking on this knife, so I'm sorry for that, I guess. I really just appreciate this as a tool and how people personalize them, and I wanted to talk about this one. And like a lot of people, when I want to buy something, I scrounge around on YouTube to see other real people's opinions, and there's just so much good content out there about this knife in particular, and really great channels talking about it. But I liked it enough that I wanted to give it a shot at talking about it. So I basically really love this thing. It's aesthetically pleasing to me with this color choice and this finish. It's built really solidly. It fits my hand, and it inspires that sort of confidence that really just draws me to fixed blade knives. And I use this as part of my everyday carry. My state where I live doesn't care about carrying or concealing a fixed blade versus a folder, but that is definitely something you should be aware of and know your laws where you live. But being how it is here, the state doesn't really care so much, and so neither do I. You know, if I'm concealed carrying something like my pistol, I definitely care how I go about concealing that, and maybe I'll make a video some other time. But as far as my knife, I think that at least where I live, if I'm out fishing or something and someone catches a glimpse of this knife through my shirt, or I pull it out, there's really just not much shock from people at seeing something like this. They know it's a tool, and it's really just seen as something handy. The most I'll get is a comment on how much people like it. So concealed or not concealed, belt versus clip, or pocket carry, and all that kind of stuff just doesn't mean too much to me, and I won't go into it very much. But you should always consider your own needs when or if you purchase something like this, again, fixed blade knife. And I've carried this probably every day, or almost every day, for about 3 months for some small projects around the house and the property. But I also do carry it at work. I work as an engineer, and so this is cut a ton of zip ties and boxes, rope, and even like some electrical wiring and things like that. The wiring probably isn't the best way to take care of the edge, but it does seemed to do the job and is holding up just fine. And those types of things will probably be what this knife does every day for as long as I continue to carry it. The blade is M390 steel, which I only know a little tiny bit about. Like I said, not a knife guy, but my understanding is that the M390's biggest asset is its toughness and its durability, which is usually what I personally prioritize in my knives. There's almost nothing worse to me than breaking a cheap, like, gas station type knife or something like that. And I don't want to go too much in depth on steel and stuff because I don't know much about it, but I personally can deal with like dulling of the steel or other problems like that. Dull I can work with, broken I cannot work with, so I'm really glad to know that this will hold up if I try to do anything really crazy with it. The grip on this is really cool. It's some kind of like material that I think is cloth with like a resin mixed in it, and it gives it this strangely like soft feel, like an old t-shirt or something. Well, it's actually really rigid and solid, and I really like that a lot. In fact, it was the first thing I noticed as soon as I handled this, and I am a sucker for it. I really dislike the plasticky, cheap feeling knives. So this is really pretty cool, and I do like that a lot. You can see how it fits my hand with the thumb resting up on these little notches on the back of the blade, and when I sort of flip it over to the side here, you can see how it like bulges out on the sides here to fill your hand, and the whole thing feels like it gives you a nice solid grip. Pretty much the only thing I don't like about this knife are here in the grip. One is I would prefer not to have the lanyard hole and just have the grip come all the way down and around. The hole doesn't affect the grip of my tiny little baby hands. I wear medium gloves and everything, but for the lanyard hole, it's really just a personal style thing, in that I think it would look a little bit better if the grip came all the way down and around and just filled this whole little area here in. The other thing is the screws used to hold this grip on. They went with these little, I guess they're like spanner type screws that I'm sure there's a real name for them, but I don't know or have a bit for this. And every once in a while I do like to take things apart, either to clean it or just for fun, and now I have to figure out what these are and buy a tool to do that here, instead of just putting on a, I don't know, like a hex screw or a star key, or just something that's more common to hold these on. I guess they're cool looking, and I guess I get that, but like, something more common would save everyone a trip to the hardware store or Amazon to buy that bit. It did come with this leather horizontal belt carry type sheath, which I can't really talk to too much because I never really carried with it or used this. It's just not really my thing. It does look well made, but I'd really rather not say too much about it since I haven't used it. It does seem to retain the knife quite well. I personally went out and bought the Bradford Kydex taco style sheath with this locking mini clip, which is pretty cool. I like that this belt release clip locks, which is something I didn't know as I carried this thing for the first couple days I had it, and I probably almost lost it with this opening up on its own under my shirt, but I did figure that out. The molding on this sheath is really spot on, and it has a great retention and a nice positive snap when you press the knife in. It is even wearing the grip here a tiny bit, but I do prefer good retention over, the wear mark. It has this little molded lip for pressing your thumb into it to help with unsheathing it. I carry this by clipping it against my back with the knife on the inside of the belt. So the belt sort of goes over like this, and then the grip is tipped up a bit to clear my belt when I remove it from the sheath. But all of that is a personal thing and customizable, because this clip has multiple screws where you can place it how you like. I just like to keep it really close on my back and mostly horizontal, and I don't really mind being cautious to not cut my belt off when I draw it out. I don't really have any other knives to give a good size comparison to, but I do have some random stuff on my desk. I have a multi-tool, I have my glasses, and I do actually have a ruler. The best I could say about the size of this thing is that I'm not a really big guy, and I carry this thing comfortably and more or less concealed just fine. It does seem like it's a slightly long 3-inch blade to me, but that does count 1 finger worth of grip, and the grip itself is actually shorter for that. The very last thing I kind of want to talk about is something I can't really articulate without going back to my original knife that I really used and liked a lot. It's sort of the one that started it all. It's my Extrema Ratio Fulcrum C. It gives me some feelings every time I look at it, and that's because I did spend about 7 years in the Army. I was in the infantry, and the Army issued us bayonets, but they were awful, and pretty much everyone I know refused to carry it. And so instead of carrying their bayonets, I went and purchased this sort of on a whim, and this is the knife I carried on my body armor or belt every single day through training and deployments and sweeping the motor pool and all that fun stuff you do in the Army. And that was a long time ago for me, so I can't remember everything I ever did with it, but I know I did, everything from cutting open MREs and like prying open ammo crates and doors, and I never did any kind of hand-to-hand combat or anything crazy like that, although I'm really sure this would have done the job just fine. This knife is very comfortable to hold. It has this weird rubbery but plastic grip. It's sharp and it's pointy and it's thick, just enough to pry on and bang around. And in that role that I was in at the time, the best I could really hope for was, confidence in my equipment to work when I really needed it. You want your gun to go bang, you want your radio to talk, and you want your knife to cut and pry open ammo boxes, which that did just fine. And at the time, that knife meant really, everything to me. And now knowing that, and coming back to the Guardian 3, I get that same kind of feeling with this fixed blade, relatively simple, strong, and solid. I can kind of see this as like the successor to my Fulcrum, and it's sort of the grown-up version from my tactical days. All the good things I could say about my Fulcrum, I can also say about the Guardian 3. It really appeals to my caveman brain, while also being kind of nice and good-looking and unoffensive, or plasticky. And I know it'll hold up for what I need from it now, a lot older. So I guess finishing up and echoing what I said earlier, I really do like this, and I do trust it, and I'm going to continue carrying it as my everyday carry. Again, this was given to me by TSAknives.com, but I do think if I had known that this had existed and how much it sort of clicks with me at that caveman level, I would have probably been okay with spending the money to get one myself. And if you decide to get one, I feel like you'll be pretty happy with it if you have as much Neanderthal DNA as I do. So, thank you for listening to my first ever Grimm talk. I'd like to do more in the future on whatever cool stuff I have or find. I think maybe I'll go over some night vision or something really cool. But please leave a comment if you like, and I will try to respond. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.